Hey y'all, what's up? It's Adventures with Ariel. Today I'm going to be giving you advice on how to make your trips easier and maybe a little bit magical. I'm going to be giving you advice on how to plan your Disney vacation, specifically when you're in your 20s, when you're a young adult like me. I used to work at Disney World way back in 2012, and I just feel like I have so much advice to share with the world. So without further ado, let's dive right in. I'm first going to talk about one of the most important things in planning this kind of vacation, and it's where are you going to stay, because I feel like that sets the tone for the entire trip. I recommend staying on site at one of the Disney resorts. I've done both. I've stayed on site and I've stayed off site, and I find that with staying on site, you never quite escape that Disney magic, which I really like. But another thing is you actually get free shuttle transportation to and from the parks. If this is like your first trip, that is so helpful. The price is not insane, which is another great thing. And my favorite part of just staying in one of the resorts is extra magic hours. Extra magic hours are this beautiful thing that Disney has come up with. When you're staying in the resorts, on select days for select Disney parks during the week, certain Disney parks will either open an hour early or be open 3 hours after the parks close. If you want to be at the parks at a time when there aren't a lot of kids, do that 3 hours late, because sometimes the Magic Kingdom is open until like 2 a.m. and kids have bedtimes. So that's another great perk. Now, getting back to the Disney resorts, I usually stick with the value resorts. And some people might say, oh, they're a little tacky, they're a little cheesy, with the larger than life Disney characters and the bright colors. They're not really that pleasing to look at. I don't mind that as much. You're not gonna be spending that much time in the resort anyway. And I say, embrace just the Disney-ness of it all. Think about all the hotels in Vegas and how they're all themed and are very larger than life. I like that larger than life kind of feel, and you really get that with the Disney resorts. Now, I would also say avoid the very popular times of year, and you can save a lot of money. The more people that are projected to come to the parks, the higher the resorts will raise their prices. I would definitely recommend checking out some of the crowd calendars at undercovertourist.com. Those calendars do a great job of projecting the busiest times of year and the times of year with the lowest attendance. And they kind of base it off of school vacations, when the certain festivals, let's say Epcot, are going on. And also besides that, just think about the kids, when they would be in school, when they would be out of school. Spring break, summer break. Try a month like September. Kids have gotten just back into school and their families aren't focused on taking them, for Disney vacation. Those are the best times to go. Now, another great thing I would recommend, the My Disney Experience app. This is another time saver with the rides. You could check wait times of rides and shows, and it's just so convenient. I didn't have that on the Disney College program, and it has made such a difference for me. You can book fast passes very early. If you're staying in a resort, you can actually book your fast passes 60 days in advance. If you're not staying at a Disney resort, only 30 days, try to book those fast passes as soon as possible. They go very fast, especially with some of the new rides that a lot of people want to ride. The Frozen ride at Epcot, the rides in the Avatar section of Animal Kingdom. Wait times were insane. This President's Day weekend, we're talking like 140-minute wait times. Yeah, no one wants to wait in the Florida heat. Trust me, you want to book those fast passes early. Also, Disney offers free Wi-Fi at every park, so that's also a great thing with the app. You're not wasting any data. I'm gonna get more to the 20-something aspect of enjoying the Disney parks. As a girl in her 20s, sometimes I get that odd look from people when I talk about how much I love Disney and how great it is to go with your friends or your husband, and they're like, Disney World, you don't have kids yet. I've talked to some people and they're like, Dumbo and teacups? It's boring, it's more for kids. And I say you're not doing it right, because that's just a fraction of the entire Disney experience. You are limiting yourself if you think that that is all Disney World is. Disney has some of the best late night entertainment. I know that sounds crazy because they got rid of Pleasure Island a few years ago. I know a lot of people enjoyed the clubs over there, but it's still a lot of fun. And if you really want that, that nightclub kind of feel, take an Uber over to Universal City Walk. Disney Springs used to be called Downtown Disney. I actually worked at Downtown Disney and I spent a lot of time there just on my breaks with my friends. Keep in mind, it's free to go to Disney Springs. Sorry, I have to stop myself from saying Downtown Disney because I'm so stuck on that Downtown Disney. Take a day off and don't do the parks, because I was actually talking to my older sister about this. She did a spring break trip to Disney and they would spend so much time during the day hopping from ride to ride in the parks. They would get up really early, they'd spend the day at the parks, they'd get home, they'd just be absolutely exhausted and just collapse. Looking back, they wish they had taken that day off just to enjoy Disney Springs, just to enjoy some of the nightlife. In my opinion, you should take a day off just to enjoy Disney Springs and some of the late night entertainment. A relaxing day where you don't have to worry about getting from place to place. And I also want to mention just a few cheap things to do in Disney Springs because I'm all about saving that dough. Some cheap restaurants to eat at Disney Springs. You got Earl of Sandwich, Cooks of Dublin, Bongo's Cuban Cafe Express, and the Smokehouse near House of Blues. Those are all great options. Free things to do at Disney Springs if you don't want it to just to be all about, you know, spending money. They actually have like an outdoor stage. It's right across from the World of Disney store. There's like a big kind of outdoor theater with a lot of seating. There are shows going on there all throughout the day. A few weeks ago, my sister and we were gonna do our first half marathon and we spent the day at Disney Springs the day before. We sat down and I heard this guy do this amazing rendition of Shawn Mendes and I'm like, man, that guy actually sounds better than Shawn Mendes. You hear like jazz musicians, pop musicians, you see ballet dancers, you see dance teams, every genre of music imaginable. You will find out that Disney has very high standards for like acceptable guest performers. Just sit back and enjoy the free show because it is free. You can just sit down and watch. I mean, I love doing that. Over at Disney's west side, that is over where they shut down Disney Quest. Rest in peace, Disney Quest. The House of Blues frequently has musicians playing outdoors. I mean, I would also recommend, as the House of Blues is just a place to go hang out with your friends at night. But if you're, I don't know, really cheap like I am, you just like listen outside at some of the musicians playing throughout the day. That's another free thing you can do at Disney Springs that I would highly recommend. It's very entertaining. Another free thing I love to do is resort hopping. Now, when you think about Vegas, once again, we're going back to Vegas. You're hopping from hotel to hotel. That's what I do when I go to Vegas. You know, with resorts such as the Bellagio, New York, and Paris. They're pretty cool. I think the Disney resorts can rival those Vegas resorts, and I'll tell you why. Disney is not relying solely on the over-the-top like wow factor. I mean, they like to tell a story. They like to focus on the details of the story. Disney loves to take you along for the adventure, and that's what I love about Disney, with their rides, with their shows, with their resorts. You can go to these resorts for free because you can take a bus from any of the Disney parks, from Disney Springs. This is honestly free, you guys. They don't even care. They love to have like guests just randomly explore the resorts, even if they aren't staying there. And you can just explore the resorts. Like with Animal Kingdom Lodge, there are animals in the backyard. Like you can go out and look at animals, and it is so, so cool. I would highly recommend it. Honestly, as a college program person, I did it all the time. One fun thing I would recommend doing if you're planning on resort hopping, this one trip I did with my husband and my sister was there too. We decided to go to Wilderness Lodge and check out, I don't know if you know this, there is an abandoned water park over near Disney's Fort Wilderness Lodge that you can actually look at from the lodge. I know that sounds crazy. So this park was called River Country back in the day. It is completely abandoned, and if you go to the back of Wilderness Lodge and look through the gate, you can still see this abandoned park. And I just thought that was so cool. Some things where you might want to splurge, of course, the Disney Drink Around the World showcase. We all know about that. You know, in this video, I kind of wanted to mention some things that people might not be as familiar with, like the resort hopping. But yes, you can drink around the world. If you're like me and you don't think you can necessarily handle a drink at every one of the countries, I would also suggest just like eating around the world because the food there is amazing as well. But some of the drinks you should try some of the margaritas in Mexico, sake in Japan, grapefruit beer in Germany is supposed to be really good, and some of the wine in Italy, which I really loved when I tried it there. All right, y'all, hopefully I gave you some information about Disney World that maybe you didn't know before. If you enjoyed that video, please hit the subscribe button down below. And if you have any of your own tips and tricks that you'd like to share, comment down below because I'd really like to hear them. I'm gonna end this video with saying have a magical day.